everybody. Once again, it's that boom bap breakfast. This is the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. And let me introduce you to your host for today. We have no other than Kamal K. Frank. And we also have no other than Kalanji Jama.
Sound like a haunted house. Kamal, your mic is muted.
You're muted, Kamal.
I know, I was talking trash. I was like, did he get the A out? He's like, chung, gong, 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 gong.
I didn't know what that was, man. I'm like, I got more confused I didn't even know he was talking about me. But anyway, what's happening? What's good?
What up? What up? It's good to be back.
Everything's good.
We in the clouds. What's good?
Yeah. I come from a wrestling era where you had Mean Gene Okerlund and people like that would announce you and stuff like that.
True,
you know what I'm saying?
true.
Okay.
Jimmy Superfly Snooker. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt. You kind of look like Rocky Johnson, though. You know, I can see
Before the
that.
steroids? Maybe before the steroids?
Yeah, definitely before the steroids, or after he shrunk. After the steroids, after things go.
Like a renegade culture morning, man. Let's go.
Okay. What's good?
The N, the E, the G, the A, the
One
D,
strike.
the E. It's renegade. Word up. Culture.
Anyway,
We back.
welcome back. Man, it is a Tuesday or a Monday, as y'all would say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful day in the neighborhood. The sun is out. The weather's kind of chill. You know what I mean? So it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Kamal look well rested now that he done got the kids back to school.
He's well rested.
Never that, but it's a lot better. They had spring break last week, and so unfortunately I couldn't come on. I know all the folks that watch were really sad and disappointed by that.
Yeah, they were crying.
That's what I heard. I was getting personal messages. Where you at? The show is going down. Why they should have just put it on hiatus until you come back. All those things were happening. All of them.
Yeah, I heard all that too.
The viewership went down. I heard the viewership went way down.
Yeah,
we didn't reach 16,000. People, we reached 16,000 because people were looking for me. I heard all that.
Well, we went down to 250. Oh, I'm sorry, we went up. Anyway.
Where speaking of, big up to our new subscribers. We made it up to 16. Next up is 20. Let's go. Okay.
That's all right. 16,000 people subscribing to BPM. That's all right. We're not mad about that just yet. But we are looking for that growth. So make sure you share with those you love and those you hate as well. Because I know, every now and then we get folks who are not fans. They come on the joint. Yeah, that's cool. We have a place for you too. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. Welcome to the family. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, but what's going on, man? What we got popping today, man? I mean, how was you guys' weekend?
For me, I gotta say big up to everybody that tuned in to Sundays. We did Cool G rap and Rock Him, which was called Street Knowledge. And it was refreshing to hear those flows and how they just flowed, the lyrics and everything. I mean, those dudes are masters at their craft. So big up to everybody that tuned in. It was dope.
There's still a case to make Rakim the greatest of all time. There's still a case.
I mean, I think Rakim was definitely the greatest of his era.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think that the one mistake we make is when we start documenting things, then it's like, this is the greatest of all time. Muhammad Ali is the greatest boxer ever. This one's the greatest, and we love these folks.
He was.
Yeah, I mean, I'm cool.
No, I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean. What you trying to say?
Hey, man, listen.
You trying to say Ali was cool, the greatest of all time?
I was cool with Ali till he dissed Malcolm, man. So that was.
He was the greatest
boxing skills. You can talk about his intellectual skills not being the greatest of all time. Hey, but his boxing.
He was good. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
He was good.
I think he was.
I'm taking another week off.
Hey, in his weight class, because we gotta talk about Whitaker.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot of people, but definitely, I would say.
I mean, not Whitaker. What's his name? Mayweather.
Mayweather.
I mean, in his class.
Well, I don't even know about that because I think with that, I don't think Mayweather fought the as many skilled boxers as folks like Sugar Ray and Hearns and Hagler from that particular era. We got to put all that into perspective as well. But
Right.
so from that angle, I would definitely say Ali, because of the fact that that's when boxing was boxing. You know what I'm saying? You know, you had Tyson, but Tyson is more of a headhunter, and he's good at what he does. But Ali fought some real, you know, heavy duty cats. So, you know,
Tyson was the best for like it was a good 3 years, where it just felt like Tyson might have been the greatest of all time. But then all that you know, it felt like he was on that walk or that journey. It was like, I mean, because when he got beat up by Buster Douglas, it just was like, what the hell?
Wait a minute.
Hi, everyone. Hi.
Yeah, Tierney's like, yeah, thanks for the echo. I didn't really want to be here today, but thank you, ear doctor.
Hey, let me get out of here. I catch you on the break.
Yes, brother.
Jeez.
Yeah, but yeah, nah. I mean, there was a lot of dope boxers, like someone said, Roberto Duran. You had a whole lot of
Duran.
Yeah, you had some headhunters back then. I know Tierney's like, there they go talking about
old man
ancient
old
shit.
man
Don't
shit
let
again.
me interrupt you. Go ahead.
Talk about old man shit again.
It's like we were when we was into wrestling back in the day, and folks be talking about, what about Haystacks Calhoun? What about Gorilla Monsoon? You know what I mean? Shit like that. You like, dude.
Well, I'm worse because I'm not into any sports. So
There is no sport whatsoever you're into.
No.
Tennis.
Yeah.
I like playing some sports, but I can't watch sports.
You can't watch. This is too boring.
It's just boring to me. I don't know why.
You know, that's funny. I'm not into sports now either. I mean, back in the day, I was a huge boxing fan, but like I said, in football and everything. But now, you know, these folks are overpaid, and you know, I mean, and it seems like less skills in a lot of cases. But anyway, welcome to the Remix Morning Show, ladies and gentlemen. The place where you can talk about anything from Sugar Ray Robinson to the BLM coming through and snatching up $90 million. You can get it all here. Yeah. Anyway, why y'all look sad when I said that?
Who looks sad?
Okay, I mean, some of y'all looking like, man, about to get out.
No. We were waiting. We were letting you do your thing. You was doing your thing. It was like that was going someplace. It was like.
It was. I had to slow it down, though. You know what I'm saying? I had to slow it down. But anyway, how was your weekend, Tierney Shree?
Oh, I was dealing with a sick child, so I'm honestly, he actually had to keep him home yesterday, so I'm just thrown off.
Wow.
Yeah, okay. I'm trying to catch up on life, but it was, good. All things considered, No
doubt. It's a good thing. Shout out to my daughter. My daughter made it to the national finals on her debate team. You know what I mean? So, definitely shout out to her for her work. And my other daughter had a birthday this weekend, so it's a wonderful time with that particular situation. So definitely shout out to the babies home and abroad.
True.
Doing what they do.
Always the babies.
Oh, also got to say, organizing is the new cool. Our film, we won 2 awards back to back last week for best documentary feature, platinum, and best documentary. So definitely for our supporters, we say gratitude, thank you. These are the very first awards we won for the film, and it was like unbelievable because we got the info the first day for the first win, and then the second day we got an email saying that we won again. So we're looking at the joint like, what's going on? And we realized it's 2 different film festivals. So definitely shout out to we've been working on that for.
Who'd you smack at the award show?
Man, I ain't smacked nobody yet, but we're gonna be going. So you know what I'm saying. So we looking at
everybody watch your mouth.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like T.I. I'm gonna run up on there. You know what I'm saying. Somebody say something wrong. I mean Will Smith or T.I. Smith.
There's so many these days you can't remember who.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy, but definitely, shout out to our
I looked like at the last minute, like he caught himself because he was like, I can't be smacking nobody. Not right afterwards.
Not right after.
He tried to hug the dude or hug the person. It was like, oh, okay, he's trying to get for a hug now.
Yeah,
like, okay.
you can't run up on sisters any damn way, especially. I mean, that's I mean, the timing was like crazy. I'm like, dude, like, not right now. You know what I'm saying? He can't be. But then he got booed. They said at the Barclays Center. You know, so
for his
hopefully
comedy,
he'll get that in.
or just for being.
Nah, for his comedy.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Have you heard those jokes?
No, but nah, I didn't.
No, yeah. I mean,
you heard his jokes?
I mean, you know, it's been on YouTube a couple of times. So they, you know, some of his performances, which are, you know, lengthy monologues. Let's say, I'm not sure all the, you know, just you know, he needs to get. He just needs to practice. Let's just say that. Practice.
Okay. I mean, you know, it's a lot of comedians out there these days, and it's a lot of them that ain't funny at all. But you know, I think in this particular era, I think a lot of comedians are scared right now because they're like, hey, you know, shit, you know, we don't want to get got. And you know, I know we're talking about, and we should put the whole will thing to bed, but I'm just seeing so much nonsense right now, just with you know. An example to me, despite what has been done, of how white folks will lift you up to the heavens, and when you when you are no longer necessary, or they feel the need to pull the plug, they'll drop your ass back down to the ground. And I think that's one of the things that he's experiencing right now.
Who, Will Smith?
Yeah. I mean, it's like
so too, yeah. No,
yeah,
I don't
coming
think
out with
so.
all kinds of
He went
shit
on
right
stage and smacked somebody. What? There has to be some consequence. They gave him an Oscar. They weren't trying to knock him down.
You have to think about it. This is not Chris Brown. This is someone who's done nothing for. I mean, I don't know of anything he's done, and
he smacked somebody on stage.
No, but all he's done, like up to that point, is be basically the most acceptable Negro in Hollywood. Yes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And they were about to they gave him an Oscar that night. He was all good in the hood.
They're talking about taking it away.
Academy hood. He was all good. They loved him.
I mean, the smear campaign is interesting because it's like when you see
smear. Is it a smear when you go up on stage and smack somebody?
Is
that being used against him in the wrong way? I don't understand that one.
I don't think
the thing is it's beyond, and I think that you know, again, you know, notwithstanding the fact that, you know, he's an accepted Negro, I'm not you know, that's besides the point. We know that, but we're looking at an example of what white America does. I don't care about, you know, his particular status and all that particular shit. You know what I mean? But up until that moment, he was a quote unquote cultural icon. Like it, love it, or not. You know what I'm saying? We can debate, we can argue about the situation. I wouldn't necessarily call it a smear campaign, quote unquote. I would say that it is definitely it's a reminder of niggas stay in your place. That's my thoughts on that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, look, we could pull this plug whenever we want to, because you're not exempt and you're not us. And every now and then they got to remind you that you are not them.
The reason I say smear though is because it's like there's a propaganda aspect to it. So yeah, obviously, like no one justifies, you know, smacking people. I mean, I don't justify smacking people. Some people do. But there is a propaganda aspect to like the after effects, to where constantly, I mean, there's so many things going on in the world, but constantly, every single news site you go to, every single, you know, video you see, it's basically this person's commenting on Will Smith, this person commenting on Will Smith's trash, Will Smith's this, Will Smith's that, and that aspect of it does feel more like a smear aspect, because it seems like they're very clearly showing us that if we go outside of these lines, no matter how much you've achieved inside of their world that they've created for us, you know, because it's not our world, that there's very, very strict conduct that we have to conduct ourselves by. And if we cross those lines, then we will be on the opposite side. And now I think there's a lot of people who, I mean, I don't think anyone would necessarily smack someone on stage, but a lot of people will think twice about certain things, you know, even other examples of people being chastised publicly. You know, people think twice nowadays just because they think about the Black people who were made an example of. And I think that's the effect that I see happening.
I think that, well, one, if people think twice about going up on stage and smacking people, I'm down with that as a reaction, particularly in that situation. I think part of the I mean I agree. Obviously, it's their world. They created it. I think the zeitgeist though is entertainment dominates, and so if something happens in entertainment world, again, as a way of distracting people from everyday things that they should be fighting for, concerned about, this kind of stuff gets overemphasized. But I feel no pain whatsoever for Will Smith in terms of his position or his what happens to him post what I thought was in my individual opinion, was an overreaction to a comedy routine, and which is part of, like, I think part of their job. If they take on all this money and loot or whatever like that, comics are going to say things, and you're a public personality, so Ben and Gary in that respect.
Yeah, we've all smacked someone at some point. You know what I'm saying? We've all went, some of us on this screen, more than one, I'm sure. You know what I'm saying? We went a little bit overboard, so I understand that particular part. My position on it, and I could care less about Will, but I'm at this particular stage, I'm looking at the state of our mental health, going beyond that. You know what I'm saying? You look at the Kanyes, you look at the Wills, and I think that there's a concerted effort to make him the next Kanye. That's my opinion, based on just the level of not just scrutiny, but the bombardment, like you said, of just from different angles. So my thing is, we've all, he's contributed something to the quote unquote culture. And it's like we can, I see a lot of folks like, oh, he hasn't done anything for black people. That sounds good. I mean, that's cool in the gang and shit, but don't try to act like you never watched anything he did. You never listened to anything he did. I mean, like, come on with the bullshit. I mean, we check out entertainment here in America and we participate, unfortunately, whether good or bad. But my concern is, that pressure taking over, and the next thing you know, we have a possible suicide, any of that type shit. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because I see how they work.
About to commit suicide?
I'm not even. No, I'm not saying that. I'm looking at the Michael Jacksons. I'm looking at the Whitney Houstons, and I'm looking at how they will utilize you. They'll use you so they can't use you no more, and then you will become more valuable in death. They'll push all that shit to the side, and they'll start selling your rights. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And just one more quick thing. I do think that people will think twice about smacking people in front of white people, but I don't think people will think twice at the hip hop awards, or, I don't think so. It's more like where the setting, if this had happened at the BET Awards, would it have gotten this, would Jim Carrey and all these white people be talking? But no, this is about, he was in their domain, and that's the aspect I'm talking about.
I don't disagree with that, but I also think there's something, and maybe I'm getting old, about decorum. So I'm not always appreciative of all the bullshit that goes on at the hip hop awards either. I was like, yo, B, is that necessary at the whatever is considered a national stage that we have created, even if it's not my politics or whatever? I'm not always down with that stuff either. It's like, yo, can you, and again, maybe it's because I'm getting older, so I don't consider it as funny as I used to, or whatever. But sometimes some of that stuff too, to me, it's just like it's a show. You go like stop acting like you out, like you on the block right now, and this is some pressing matter of life or death or whatever. This is, you've chosen a particular lifestyle and you're living that lifestyle. And if you bring too much street to it, you not only are going to mess up, and there's going to be consequences if you bring too much street to it.
I mean, but is it too much street, Kamal? Because I mean, really, and I know we got to go to a quick break. I mean, like, we live in the most violent arena, the most violent country, the most violent shit on the planet, and they go smack people every fucking day. They drop bombs. We talking about Will Smith smacking someone. They drop.
But why? I don't understand the comparison. Families. So why?
Because I'm saying in front of the world. But the thing is, their propaganda machine protects and insulate them, and we don't see that. You know what I'm saying? We're like, oh, I can't believe he went to the Oscars to slap somebody. I can't believe you motherfuckers went and dropped the bomb on Syria. I can't believe you went and formed coups all over the planet. I can't believe what went on in Rwanda. You know what I'm saying? And getting this out and so many other places. So the thing is, it's like, I hear that particular aspect, but we're looking at these fucking immoral people as the moral authority of how we're supposed to conduct ourselves, when on the world stage, on a daily, on a regular, they totally decimate and destroy it. But of course, it's not entertainment, so stay in your place, Negro. But anyway, speaking of entertainment, let's bring on
bring on the ear doctor. I'm sure he's going to have
Yes.
something to say anyway. Yeah.
Sure.
What was that word you said come out? Decorum?
Decorum.
Okay, that's like the decorum you had when you said you was gonna smack Shelley Winters and on the podcast.
Yeah, and it was wrong, right? And
okay, that's right. That's right. Man, please don't act like you ain't ever snap on nobody.
No, it doesn't mean that it's right. It doesn't mean like that's the behavior that we should be doing. It doesn't. No one is saying that people don't act out. The question becomes, shouldn't we have restraints on acting out, right? And so, yes, of course, whether or not the comparison isn't, obviously the scenario is different around U.S. bombing and all the rest of it. It doesn't mean what anybody else does is like it's okay.
No,
because
and
the U.S. does it and such and such and such. So in terms of our own personal behaviors and what we do, there's also going to be consequences and things like we haven't talked about it. So what is Chris Rock, right? I mean, this dude got smacked on stage. Nobody's talking about his daughters seeing that or his family seeing that or his reaction to that kind of thing. And what's his possible mental state from having somebody just come up and that's cool too in public, right? So I don't think the idea that Will Smith is now being made into some evil black person and all that kind of stuff is got anything to do with he would get smacked. Yeah, that dude would get smacked. Yeah, and there could be consequences for it, right? And if you're going to do it, then there's consequences. Then I fully accept. I'm not going to get up there and accept something and be like, and do it and then come back and cry and say how sorry I am. If I did it, I did
what? Chris Rock deserved to get
smacked. It doesn't mean that there's not consequences for it.
Yeah.
He deserves to get smacked. Not for that. I think. Comedians can do comedy. Comedians can do comedy without being mean-spirited. You ain't got to be roasting people.
I'm sorry.
You can talk comedy without expecting to get smacked because it's part of what their role is in society.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. This ain't our society, and as long as we keep doing what they doing, roasting people and joking on people like that, then we're gonna continue to be in a war like they are. Anyway,
but we ain't smacking white people. They smacking other black people. They're not.
I mean, Chris Rock should have smacked Chris Rock should have smacked the white dudes that he was laughing with talking about nigga on national TV.
Yeah, exactly.
On HBO.
All these other things are good topics for discussion, but I'm not sure what that's got to do with Will Smith deciding.
Oh no, and I'm not
stage and smack dude in the face, and then there should be some consequences for the fact that he does it, and we could move on. I have no reason to suggest that he's being pulled by society as somebody who has done. Who is sort of an overreaction to some small thing he did. This dude got up out of his seat and went and open hand smacked somebody because they made a joke on stage. It's like, man.
I unite with that, and that's not. There's no absolutes. I'm not saying that what he did was right. You know what I'm saying? I mean, shit. There's a lot of people that he could have smacked. I'm just saying the reaction from mass media, white folks, and black folks who join in on the program. And it's like, he shouldn't have, like, get the fuck out of here. Like I said, we've all been pushed to the limit.
Hit him.
But I think,
man, in the words of Eric Sherman, smack me and I'll smack you back. Now let's go ahead and get to the break.
I agree with that too.
The remix. I said Sherman this time, not sermon. Anyway, big up to everybody out there. This is the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. And please, while you are here, make sure you hit that like button. It's right there at the bottom. Go ahead and hit it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscription button and also the notification bell so you can know all the dope shows that's coming right here for you on Black Power Media. All right, boom. So today we talking about weather. I'm here in the beautiful, man, the weather has been crazy. I mean, one day it's cold, next day it's hot, next day you don't even know, man. You got to dress in layers around here. But let's start in Norfolk, Virginia. That's right. Norfolk, Virginia, they got a high today of 80 degrees. Big up to Norfolk. That's where I think Hampton U is or something like that. Anyway, big up to Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis, Tennessee, they got a high today of also 80 degrees. So it's getting warm now. We're getting to them summer temperatures. We'll see. But then We go up to Chicago, Illinois, and they got a high of 58 degrees. Brr. It's cold up there. Big up to all my people in the Shire. Let's take it over to the west side. Let's go to Inglewood, California. They got a high today of 65 degrees. That's crazy. 65 degrees in Cali. Yeah. Now let's take it to the islands. Let's go down to St. Kitts. That's right, St. Kitts. They got a high today of also 82 degrees, actually. Now let's take it over to the motherland because there ain't no other land. Let's go to Brazzaville, Congo. That's right, Brazzaville, Congo. They got a high today of 92 degrees. Now, this Brazzaville, y'all ever heard or seen this place? It's pretty fly over there. It's looking nice. They got a bunch of different things going on over there. You know, you got different types of fashion and style, and you got you know, different types of cultures. You got a lot of music in there, and then you also take it all the way back to the beginning, and you see it's a lot of spirituality they deal with also over there. Now, my last thing I'm gonna say about Brazzaville, I know it's not that cold around, but let me tell you who is cold as a white man. It gotta be Paris Savon de Brazza. That's right. This was the European, French, Italian explorer that came over and quote unquote founded Brazzaville. You know what I mean? Pretty much after he made a deal with King Makoko to protect his colony. That's the deal they made. So next thing you know, it's down to the French Empire. So yeah, another one who discovered quote unquote a land that's already there. That's what it is for today. So let's take it back to the morning show. You know how we do. Yeah.
Shout out to Dead Praise. Smack a white boy. Anyway, what's good?
Well, speaking of smacking a white boy, before we get started, I wanted to also, we're in the last couple of weeks of this fundraiser. We haven't talked about it for a little bit, so I just wanted to lift it up one more time. So we are doing a fundraiser for Dhoruba bin Wahad and his medical fund. We've raised close to $25,000, and we've continually upped the goal, of course, to whatever we're getting in, because he needs all the resources he can to help support him and his family and his medical treatment. So if folks get a chance, please put it in the chat. Go one more time and give whatever donation you can for Brother Dhoruba bin Wahad, who is battling cancer, stage 4. He's had a couple of pieces of good news in terms of treatment, but he's still battling. He still needs support, and he still needs help. So I just want to make that announcement. Speaking of somebody who's not scared to actually smack white folks as opposed to smack other black folks, we got Dhoruba bin Wahad.
Yes. And he definitely he's definitely pro smack. Shout out to my man DBW in the place to be, and support Dhoruba because Dhoruba has put in work. Cat in the chat, Nat Turner, I don't know who you are, whatever. Talking about I deserve a slap. My face is welcome, and it's always public. So anytime you want to roll up on the guard, let me know. You know what I'm saying? And bring GMJ with you. Anyway, Yes, Remix Morning Show.
We got the mad crew. They don't want it. Anyway,
no doubt they don't want that.
I'll catch y'all next break. Peace.
No doubt. Remix Morning Show, man. How y'all feeling this morning?
You're right.
I'm enjoying today.
It's good. It's good to have two attorneys on the stage today. Anyway, speaking of smack, how about we smack the map, slap the map, just like that. Welcome to the Remix Morning Show. Beautiful place where we talk about all kinds of things. First thing in the morning, we are your coffee. Don't get it twisted. We like our coffee black because it's like that. It's good. How y'all feeling? Anybody want to get it started, Foist?
I'm still catching up on life right now, so I'm gonna need to what's going on in the world.
No doubt. Kamal, you want to get started, or you want me to kick it?
Won't you kick it, and I'll go after you. Unless Turney jumps in with something.
Cooling the game, killing the game. We'll start off because there's a lot going on these days with resources and money and all that good stuff. And I was reading this article about they were talking about how nearly half of hold on one second here, we're losing something. Nearly half of all black workers in the US make less than $15 an hour. So this article in the Insider, it was talking about just how, you know, folks are fighting to survive out here. Speaking of fighting, I mean, it's like, you know, they're saying half of all black workers making less than $15 an hour, and they're trying to figure out how are we surviving and why is that. I mean, of course, we know that, you know, no money, no food, no clothes, no shelter, more crime, quote unquote. You know, folks are trying to survive. So this article right here, we have they talked about how 47% of black workers and 50% of women of color earn less than $15 an hour, less than a living wage in most major U.S. cities. It says wage suppression among black workers is still influenced by the history of Jim Crow laws. Insider spoke to people around the country about how they're fighting and organizing for a more equitable workplace. So it says Leisha Francis wakes up at 4 a.m. every morning and isn't able to put her head down till 11 p.m. that day. She works at Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers in North Carolina, and everybody knows where she works. She doesn't own a car and relies on a 2-hour bus commute to work every day, only after she prepares her 12-year-old son for school. Francis works 8-hour days, earning $12 an hour. That often means that having to make decisions about what bills she can pay. So she went on and she's talking about how she doesn't understand how people are surviving out here when rent is $1,100, $1,200, $1,200, $1,500, or if you live in places like New York and soon to be Atlanta, $3,000 a month, etc. You know, so it's talking about how you know, folks are being crippled and literally not making it out here. So you know, I was looking at that article, and of course this is like the norm in so many different places because this is what America does. But unfortunately, we end up arguing and fighting about what's going on with rich folks here in America and across the planet. I thought it was criminal to see that, you know, of course we know this because we amongst the people, but it's criminal to live in a society like this, but yet we're arguing about well, this basketball player is only making $200,000 a year, or this actor is only making $500,000 an episode. I mean, all this crazy shit that many folks that we know will never see in a lifetime. You know what I'm saying? There are people that I know personally that are surviving on under $20,000 a year. You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, this is an example of how much of a tripe society we're in. And even the fact that we're talking about fighting for $15 an hour, even $15 an hour ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? That should be minimum wage. But, you know, we have to, you know, figure out how do we fight this beast on another level.
I think people don't even realize that, and that's like this, like you said, like people don't even realize how bad the economic situation for the masses of Black people is. And folks, and for the most part, folks aren't doing things like committing so-called crimes or whatever, even though a lot of that stuff may be justified, to be honest. But, you know, folks are couch surfing, living with their parents, roommates, tripling up with roommates. You know, how many people, I think we all know of folks like, you know what I mean? Like you got three roommates or whatever like that, because you can't afford to get an apartment or a house or whatever in the city at some reasonable rate in terms of renting and stuff like that. And people not only are working one job at less than $15 an hour, they're working 2 or 3, and they're doing Uber and the rest of it because they're still trying to figure out how to make ends meet. So people are hustling this economy to survive. And like you said, like the fact that people are surviving without doing all the other extracurricular activities that are well within our justification to do, you know, is shocking. You know what I mean? And that's one of the, you know, and going back to the entertainment scenario of propaganda, and that's probably how they get us, right? So instead of fighting for whatever we want to be fighting for, should be fighting for, we're talking about this one, or we're talking about that one, or we're engaged in sports activities, like you said, and what's the latest game, and who's winning and who's losing, and what the personalities are. And all that's happening as our conditions continue to deteriorate and get worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, and that's the getting worse part is what's getting me, because already like things are really bad, but when you see inflation going up like crazy, and on top of that, I mean, that probably the most disgusted. I don't want to say the most disgusted, but I was very disgusted with a lot of the Democrats that were basically, beside all the propaganda with Ukraine versus Russia, the ones that were like, oh, we're just going to pay more for gas, and that's going to be okay because we're going to help the people of Ukraine. And it's like, what do you mean we? Like you're going to have everyone pay more for gas. You're not even at least tax, the people who have more if you want to pay for your stupid war. But the fact that literally people who are already struggling are going to bear the brunt of that, and then inflation's going up, rent's going up, mortgages going up. A lot of people are saying, it's like if you don't have a house now, like good luck, ever being able to afford your own house. And so it's literally like we're seeing these conditions worsen. Yet, interesting enough, as you pointed out, Kamal, the news coverage has not changed. Like we're still like entertainment. If you look at even like the news, you don't really hear a lot about what's going on among the people, because obviously they want to distract us and make us think that we're not dealing with this across the board, or make it think like it's our own isolated circumstance. Because obviously, once the mass of people wake up to the fact, because I think it's just going to get worse. Like I don't see this letting up as far as this capitalist thing. I don't think it's going to take it easy on us anytime soon. And I think there's going to be a real concerted effort to push out a lot of entertainment, but until the people kind of draw these parallels like across the board, we're all struggling in this type of way. Then that's what they're really trying to prevent is, obviously people awakening and organizing and revolting and like they have in the past.
When I hear getting worse, and I'm often wonder, I mean, what does that mean? Because it's like, like being in Atlanta, dealing with the homeless population, right? Seeing entire families in the wintertime sleeping on the pavement. When I say entire families, man, woman, and child. I've seen a husband and his wife and 3 kids. Literally, there's no room in the shelter. So they're sleeping outside on a cardboard box or in some damn sleeping bags. And I mean, it's brick. I mean, it's cold. And this is just Atlanta, the place where folks want to come thinking that it's the Black Mecca. You know what I'm saying? This particular facade. And just seeing, I mean, there was a point where there were 30,000 homeless in the city of Atlanta. And what did they do? They closed down shelters. They arrested a number of different homeless folks, and they built a $300 million fish bowl in the middle of Atlanta. They built an aquarium. You know what I'm saying? That is overpriced for the residents. The folks that you talk about, that we're talking about making less than $15 an hour, they can't even afford to go to the aquarium. You know what I mean? So it is a tourist attraction, but at the same time, it is a terror for so many people. And I want to point out, because a lot of times folks talk that bullshit about, just go to school, get a degree, this and that. I've met doctors who were homeless on the street, who had their degrees in paper bags, talking about how, they lost their shit because they got addicted to their own pain medicines and their own prescriptions, so on and so forth. So capitalism is a real monster with real teeth. So when we talk about getting worse, I'm afraid of us not looking to dismantle the system, because that's the only thing that's going to stop it. We're not going to be able to reform it. We're not going to be able to adjust it. There's no laws that's going to come along and that's going to benefit us. And even if they raised minimum wage to $35 an hour today, it means nothing, because they will raise the price of everything else. You know what I mean? So, it's a one-trick pony. Capitalism is an amazing thing.
Because I was going to mention also, so at the same time, this stuff is, when you mentioned the stuff about the homeless population, and what do? They close down shelters to make downtown look cleaner, in terms of not having homeless people, so that tourists can do their excursions, and they move those folks out the central city. And that's basically what's happening too as a reaction. The reaction hasn't been that these cities or states are doing anything to improve conditions, right? Even as we're slightly coming out of those maybe the worst parts of the COVID crisis, but still the crisis is here. They've decided to lift all the moratoriums on evictions and so forth, so that these landlords can now go back to getting high ass rents and throwing people out of their apartments, and knowing that it's not going to be our problem, because our solution is to kick them out or to throw them out of the central cities and have them go other places, and then it's not our problem anymore. We're not dealing with it. So yeah, I agree. I think it's going to continue to get worse. They're not going to raise the minimum wage, and under all of these crises, always one of the things they continue to report, even with inflation going high, the gas price is high, corporations are making record profits, right? There's always some report when these things are happening. It's not like these corporations are struggling. Also, inflation is somehow biting off their profits, or people aren't making billions or literally millions of dollars off their salaries as CEOs and top executives. Those things are remaining stable as the rest of us continue to struggle and are beat down to the ground. And again, without the concerted effort of a reaction that's going to force anything to change.
Yeah, right. I watched an interesting movie on Amazon, and it's kind of like I personally believe in pre-programming or something like that. Like a lot of the things that are in movies is kind of like people trying to tell us, okay, this is what we really planning. This movie was about basically all these people, basically the whole world was like 2030 or 2060 or something like that, the year 2060. And everyone was basically wired into this kind of like the metaverse, but it was like, you're actually like really feeling it, probably how they're going to try to get it to be. Meanwhile, everyone's basically living like a really basic life, like inside of a small apartment. Everyone's wired into this whole global network. And I just don't think it's coincidental that you see so much like intentional distractions coming out on the internet at the same time as our conditions are worsening. Because, if you think about times in history where I think that they've learned their lesson about, okay, this is how we're going to try to prevent seeing another movement like we have in the past. So let's just try to throw things at people and make them think that this is their reality. Some people really think Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, some people really think that's the real world, and they get so confused to where they actually live in the real world and they can't even engage in it the same way. I really think that's what we're going to see more and more is their answer. Our answer is like, we need to get it together, organize, work against this, because it's just, we know what this is. But their answer is, we need to get these people more and more hooked into these types of media networks and really thinking more that this is the world that they have, as opposed to what's actually happening.
And that's what Malcolm was talking about when he was talking about the whole Novocaine. This is where we are. We're in a real life Novocaine situation, and that that's what social media is. That's what the internet is. It makes you suffer peacefully. It makes you feel like nothing's really going on, and it's okay. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to worry about your rent. You have to worry about food, clothes, shelter, any of that type of shit. Just look good on the internet. You know what I'm saying? Just have a banging social media page, and everything else is all right. Until you get off the damn internet and you realize, damn, I'm hungry in real life. You know what I'm saying? This shit is, the pictures of the steak that I put up, damn, I can't eat them motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? But what the government does, what America does, what the U.S. does is, it's sort of like when you tell a child to go clean a room, and they cover shit up, they put a blanket over this or shove some shit under the bed or whatever, and it's like, I'm finished. Like, how the hell you finish cleaning the room and it's been like 5 minutes and it took you 5 days to destroy it? That's what the government does. They shift their bullshit from one spot to the next. Just like when you talked about shipping folks out on the bus, giving everyone bus tickets, the homeless bus tickets to go to another city, just to make that particular city look good for the time being. And when and the end results is, you're just shifting the problems around. It's like 3-card Monte.
So speaking of 3-card Monte,
No,
that wasn't for the ear doctor. So the next story, I know we've talked about this last week, but now I don't know if you guys talked about it. It was on our list of possible stories. But Black Lives Matter has posted a reaction to the charge that the expensive mansion in California and what its uses was and what it's done. And so on Twitter, they've stated that there have been a lot of questions surrounding recent reports about the purchase of Creator's House in California. And so I just wanted to run through their reaction to it really quick. Despite past efforts, Black Lives Matter Global Network recognizes that there is more work to do, increase transparency, and ensure transitions in leadership are clear. We know narratives like this cause harm to organizers doing brilliant work across the country, and these reports do not reflect the totality of the movement. We apologize for the distress this has caused to our supporters and those who work in service to Black liberation dearly. We also recognize the confusion recent inflammatory and speculative articles have caused. We are redoubling our efforts to provide clarity around BLM's work. In the coming weeks, we will unveil new initiatives to increase transparency and accountability and to continue reshaping what radical philanthropy looks like for Black people. We're working diligently to increase operations transparency, including an internal audit, tightening compliance operations, creating a new board to help steer the organization in this next evolution. Black creativity is necessary and vital to Black survival. BLM has always held the tradition sacred, partnering with artists of every kind since our founding. That's why Creator's House was purchased, to provide a space for Black folks to share their gifts with the world and hone their craft as they see fit under the conditions that work best for them and outside of systems of oppression in creative industries. They also state, lastly, I'll stop here, that they provided over $3 million in direct support to families struggling to navigate the impacts of COVID. And they've also granted over $25 million to Black-led frontline organizations around the world, they say. So I'll stop there. But this is their response to the articles which came out, I think, last week, to the new revelations that a $6 million mansion was purchased in California, and that the mansion was used for personal benefit, including putting shows on YouTube and so forth. And so now they have a reaction to it, and that's the reaction.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, and just to add on to what you're saying, I see you laughing, Kamal. Just to add on to what you're saying, I know after as you scroll down a little further, part of the thing they was talking about, they gave $3 million here and $12 million there, so on and so forth. I see that they also said we work with BLM grassroots to collect 60,000 signatures in support of Andrew Joseph to end qualified immunity. I don't know what that has to do with anything because of the fact that that's what the fuck you're supposed to do. You're supposed to collect signatures and so on and so forth. That's part of organizing, right? And shout out to Andrew Joseph's family. We had his parents on a few weeks ago talking about, him in Florida being ran over and killed out there. I hear all this shit, but you cats are collecting hundreds of millions of dollars. So let's say you did give away 30 million. Excellent. That's a drop in the bucket. A $6 million home. I mean, that's a little overboard, don't you think? I mean, I'm just imagining like so much that could have been done. You could have built a whole retreat center on land for $6 million. You could have had agriculture, folks farming right on that land for way less than $6 million. You could have bought all the equipment you needed to run that land. You could have housed people and built homes on that land for $6 million. You know what I'm saying? So that's some bullshit. Let's start by saying that. You know what I'm saying? And it is, like I said the other day, these cats are straight grave robbers. You run around collecting money off of these people who have lost their lives and their loved ones, and I think that that's fucked up, so I hear you with your tweets and all that, but on behalf of BPM, we ain't having that. You know what I'm saying? So, and we're not out to bomb on our people. That's not the deal here. But when you're talking about 6 million just for a home, I mean, like, come on, man. Like, I mean, what are you producing with that home? What are you producing with that home? I couldn't imagine you giving our organizations $6 million and we not owning a fucking community block. We can get an entire block, a liberated zone, secured and everything. You want to test me? You know what I'm saying? Run the jewels, run it. We can show you how to do this thing, but not no $6 million mansion. That shit is disgusting, and it goes against what it is we're supposed to be fighting against. It goes against the principles. It goes against saying that we're fighting capitalism, because that is a straight up capitalist move, and I don't give two shits about what you say, how you mask it up. You can put up your YouTube videos, you can tweet, but that's some bullshit. You can't justify it.
Yeah, but Black Lives Matter is the beneficiary of, like, if we're going with the theme of like this whole social media, like creating a world for us, they're the beneficiary of that. They got to be inside of a world that was created for us, where they were revolutionaries and they were speaking for the people. I even laugh at there's a lot of people. I like listening to conservatives and Republicans too, to see what they're saying over there. A lot of them are convinced that these people are Marxists, and I'm like, really? Like, you're convinced because a few people in the organization said they're Marxists, therefore you're going to ignore their actions, you're going to ignore their donators? Do you think George Soros would be really donating to them if that's what they were about? He's avowed that he's against any type of Marxist revolutionary movement. So they benefited from that. I think they're the perfect example of controlled opposition. And that's just what we should study, I think, as African people. The fact that there's a lot of people who are intentionally made to look like they are fighting what we're fighting, but it's because they can be controlled and manipulated, unlike other elements, more radical elements that can't be controlled. So ultimately, all you have to do with Black Lives Matter is start pulling their funding. All you have to do is start questioning some of their purchases, questioning some of their affiliations. Then they'll retreat from certain things that other people wouldn't, and that's why they're always going to be upheld. I've tried to fight this notion that they're going to continue to exist. They'll exist so long as the white power structure sees them as being necessary to create this idea of a pseudo radical, organization, so that some people can actually join it. I mean, some people have been well-meaning and joined those types of organizations, just to basically be what's the word, kind of like disenchanted, because when you actually join it, you're like
demoralized, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what they operate for. They're demoralizing those who are sincere, those who are actually doing the work. They are being pushed to the forefront to create inside of this world created for us, to give the image that this is what we have. We don't have anyone else. This is all we have. So deal with it. And obviously they're also being used to keep the Republicans or conservatives busy, because critical race theory and all this crap, that's going to get them their votes, because they have to save the world from Black Lives Matter. So I just hope we realize, what they are as far as the role that they're playing inside of this system.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with all your remarks, because I think that's, we've talked about movement capture, and this is the perfect example of a group that's at best liberal, right, in their politics, but works well within the confines of what's accepted, has driven the narrative back into policy and voting and policy for the Democratic Party. And everything else is just that sort of facade of, okay, people have rallies and demonstrations, but they're not moving any agenda that's really about Black self-determination or organizing. And I have no problem. I think if you get that kind of dough, you should be buying some property that is useful for movement organizing. And the problem becomes, this is obviously not what that house was. And like Kalonji was right, like $6 million. Like you could buy a whole block, 3 blocks, 4 blocks. You could control a stretch of a city with those kind of resources, depending on where you're at. You could move things to create a base of operations for struggle, for revolutionary and radical action. There's a whole bunch that you can do in terms of property development, food sustainability work, organizing work. There's a whole bunch that you could do for that. But to buy a $6 million mansion so that you can do a cooking show which is one of the things that was done out of it, so that people can watch you try to bake cookies or whatever it was that was being baked.
Martha Stewart or somebody.
It's like
Fuck
it just blows the mind that anybody who would like to think of themselves as a Marxist or radical would have this idea and see this idea to fruition, without at some point somebody else on your team who also is supposed to be Marxist or radical saying, do you really think this is what we should be doing? So is this really the way to demonstrate the politics of Black liberation? To make you some sort of media star or to put you out there? And I don't want to, and it's similar, like I don't want to blame everything on these particularly these three people, because the movement has been captured or disorientated way before them. There's other people who did it way before what I feel they're doing now. And again, whether people are doing it purposefully, whether they just think it's part of the idea of liberation, or whether they fool themselves to doing it, but they've obviously fulfilled, as Tyranny said, like a niche that satisfies particularly the liberal end of what's considered agreeable in terms of political discourse and action. They're doing the work of the state, right? Something that used to be fulfilled by a Jesse Jackson, by an Al Sharpton, by the NAACP, by the Urban League at certain points. They're fulfilling a particular role that is controlled opposition. That there may be some real fights in between that with these groups, but it's nothing that's impacting the daily lives of our people or pushing the struggle in a new direction or more left or more militant. Instead, it's this movement capture over and over again.
For me, this is more than a story, and I think that this must be properly driven home, man. This is more than a story. To me, it makes my blood boil, because as a person that is a part of an organization, and the work that we've done on fumes, the work that we've done literally on financial fumes, outweighs this bullshit, and they're getting so many millions of dollars. It really pisses me off. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't even understand how we, the people, quote unquote, are in an uproar, because what they did is they pimped this shit. And you mentioned Jesse Jackson. They did the same damn thing that Jesse did back in the 80s with Pepsi. They go to they capitalize off of white guilt. All these white folks, they want to prove that they're down, and they got the Black Lives Matter signs and the stickers in their windows, and they're progressive, so on and so forth. But the thing is, they don't know where to funnel their cash. So they funnel the loot to these folks over here, and it never trickles down to the people, to the masses. And one thing you said, Tierney, that I wanted to point out and agree with was you said something about to the effect of the members, and I forgot the word you used, but they're always sincere forces. You know what I mean? So I want to clarify, those of you who consider yourselves members of Black Lives Matter, those of you who have worked with Black Lives Matter, who were sincere, because unfortunately, folks don't know how to get down with organizations. You know what I'm saying? They don't know how to find the correct organization. They don't understand that there has to be political education. There has to be a proven track record, not just a social media presence. You know what I'm saying? Not just some pictures or some photos, some videos and all that bullshit. You have to have some real on the ground shit. It has to be tangible. If you can't touch the organization, then it's like it doesn't exist. If there's nowhere for you to meet up with the masses of the people and perform duties in the community, perform activities and programs of action, then it's what it's worth its weight in gold. You know what I'm saying? It barely exists. And what they did is a criminal act. And like I said, it's ancestral treason, man, because too many of our ancestors have suffered and died, have been tortured. Many of them languishing in these prisons. And you motherfuckers are walking around getting hundreds of millions of dollars. And then you got a fucking attitude when somebody's checking you on it. You got the audacity. You have a real audacity. And you played off a lot of these other legitimate movements. You played off of the police terrorism. You played off of the Me Too movement, women's rights. You played off the LGBT. all of this because of the fact that you knew that if you insulated yourself, then these folks would protect you, because every now and then you'll come with some fancy ass sloganeering, or you'll have a rally with some signs and shit like that. So you make the attack or the response to your bullshit an attack on other marginalized groups. And that's fucked up.
So with that said, let's bring back on the ear doctor, who is authentic as hell.
Yes.
Drop that shit. That's what I'm saying, man. Man, Black Power Media once again. Hey, before I get up start going to this break, Tierney, what you got going on?
Oh, sorry. Still catching up on life. Yes, you can catch hopefully in tomorrow morning will be another episode of This Week in African News. And of course, Saturdays catch our podcast, and We Charge Colonialism TV on YouTube.
All right. All right,
No
cool.
doubt,
Well, let's
no
go ahead
doubt.
and get to this next break. We got an artist spotlight, so let's get to it. All right.
Remix.
All right. Once again, welcome out to the Remix Morning Show. We're going to take this quick break and do an artist spotlight. Who are we going to talk about today, you wonder? Let's talk about, since I'm a DJ, let's give it up to a DJ. Why not? Who are we going to talk about? No other than the sister known as DJ Coco Chanel. That's right. Let me go ahead and give you a little history lesson on Coco. Pretty much she born in Brooklyn, New York. Age 7, she pretty much started getting into music a whole lot, and she was also let me start from the beginning. Let me rewind real quick. She's a DJ, a recording artist. She worked as an on-air personality and mixed DJ show for New York's hip-hop station Hot 97 and Kiss FM. She also worked on television, and she was the first DJ to be employed by BET Network for a weekly teen talk show, Teen Summit. That's right. She's at the ripe age of 50, out here doing it up. She entered the talent show and was rapping and DJing. By 16, she was like, listen, I'm gonna really get onto this DJing. Did you know that she was actually a DJ for the hip-hop duo Kings of Swing? That's right. She did that for a while. Other than that, she's got awards for being a DJ and doing her thing. She was on the morning show with Ed Lover on Hot 97 on the morning show, and also did a ladies' night with Angie Martinez, DJ Jazzy Joyce. So she's been putting it down for a minute. In case you never seen this sister do her thing, then I got to show you something. Let me show you how Coco Chanel gets down. That's right. She is a beast when it comes to juggling and different things like that. Let's check this out. So there you have it. That's DJ Coco Chanel. If you haven't heard, go check her out. And there it is, right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's get back to it. All right.
Yo, shout out to DJ Coco Chanel. We did some shows with King of Swing back in the early 90s and whatnot. They had this one particular joint from the album nod your head to this. I don't know if y'all remember that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but Coco was always dope. And really, to be honest with you, I mean, she was the one that made the group, even though she wasn't rapping.
Hey, can I do a quick flashback before I leave?
Do a quick flashback, but I'm
I
scared
don't
to
know.
know.
Can you do a quick flashback before you leave? I'm not sure.
Especially when he asked.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
Whoa, shut the fuck up! We have records. Shut the fuck up! Shut up!
Okay.
We have records.
Yo, we wrapping this. Thank you, Anoa. Thank you, Anoa. Thank you, Anoa. Listen, Anoa, that's not how you talk on the show. This is Renegade Culture. We don't get down like that.
1 second.
So let's wrap it up.
You chill too.
Nah.
Look.
Word is bond.
Look, we don't want
I was cool, calm and collected.
He couldn't. They couldn't hear what you said.
Good.
Shout out to Ear Doctor for the Petty J moment.
I felt so bad because I invited another guest on, and she was a little bit in shell shock. You're like, what the fuck is going on here?
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know, it got a little.
Yeah, that was a very interesting show right there. It was definitely.
Some say it was the best show ever, right?
So that's what I'm saying, man. So let's not act like we ain't never lose control. And thank goodness it wasn't live. You know what I'm saying? In front of mad people. You know what I mean? So let's all not act like we ain't lose control before. Okay.
But that's all. Act like there might not be consequences for losing control.
None for you though. Oh, yeah, the guessing.
I have to apologize to you. That's a consequence. Didn't I apologize for my actions?
Hey,
the level of grievance, I think that was pretty big, right?
Hey, and
I was absent when you apologized.
You were right there. You were right there accepting apologies.
At the end of that award show, Will came up to Chris that they didn't show on the TV and apologized to Chris, but they didn't show that part.
They did. No, he didn't do it after the award show. Actually, he did it. He did. He did put a statement out 2 days later after he talked to his publicist. Like, look, this shit is going way left. B, you got to do something about this. Let's get that team. Let's get that communications team on this right away.
Anyway, something bad wrong with y'all.
But that's.
I was going to say before you go though, would you do a top? Not now, but could you put together a top 5 DJs of all time?
It will be done tomorrow. Tune in.
All right. You can't be on it though. You can't put yourself on it.
Thank you.
Ear doctor. What do you mean?
Get off the screen, D. Get off the screen.
Shout out to all the remixers out there. You know what I'm saying? Doing their thing. We appreciate y'all for putting it in. And we will be having a mashup soon with the Ben Dixon show. You know what I'm saying? That's under works. Also want to shout out my man Space right here. The new products right here. It's called Good Hemp Paper. My man Space from Vintage Tux just sent me a nice package or whatever. So shout out to him.
Are they giving us money for you to be giving some free advertisement to these? Who are these folks? Who are these people?
This is family. You know what I'm saying? This is all natural. They support the movement, and he actually they put something under the Ruber thing. So definitely shout out to them as well. You know what I'm saying? But they're out in Florida, Vintage Tux. This is 100% hemp paper. I know a lot of people use raw cone and all that. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to shout out those who are into that hemp thing. And I would also say that if you want us to check out your products, get with us. You know what I'm saying? Email us, mediablackpower@gmail.com. And you know, we might could check out some of your stuff on air.
Might is a strong word, just to let y'all know.
Might is definitely strong.
Don't go crazy, y'all.
Might is might. It depends on what you have.
Only on Black Power Media will there be your best weed papers.
Hey, man, I ain't say weed, I said hemp. Hey, but you know, is that good, baby?
How to roll the correct way, y'all. You know what I'm saying?
And my man Flux designed the logo for him, so definitely shout out to Flux as well. You know,
Flux do good.
But anyway,
you want to get back to some news?
Yeah, man, y'all got a little thrown off and whatnot, man. Y'all done went from Will to BLM, so you know,
because we down with the people. That's the kind of product endorsement we got to do. You know what I'm saying?
That's what we're supposed to do. Yeah,
nobody's throwing millions of dollars at us right now. Wonder why?
Man.
Fuck Israel. I wonder why.
After you watch this show, exactly. Did you say fuck Israel, brother?
I did say just fuck Israel. Yeah, I did say that.
Okay,
brother.
that's cool. I unite with that. Uh, so one thing I did see, speaking of finances, there's I read a story about this sister here who is an innocent woman fighting to have her $8,000 seized in a raid returned. Now, many of you know that when you are arrested or accused, oftentimes they take your shit. You know what I'm saying? Several of us have been victims of getting jacked by the police. I mean, they'll take your money, they'll take your goods, so on and so forth. And then you got to go through a whole rigmarole in order to try to get your goods back. And most time you don't, I mean, once they finish with you, you don't even want to go back to the courts or go back to the police. So you just like, fuck it, keep that $8,000 or whatever the case is. Not me when it comes to that much. But this sister right here, she's talking about how she was an entrepreneur in Rochester, New York, and she had to get her lawyers, and she's still fighting this case because they raided her home looking for her then boyfriend. No drugs were found, no charges was filed after her home was raided, and they say that her then boyfriend was suspected of dealing drugs at the time. He said, however, during the raid, police seized $8,040 of Starling's money, and she said she was saving her money to turn her food cart business into a food truck. Her boyfriend was arrested for drugs found at another address, but those charges were later dropped. Okay, so they've been giving her the runaround, and they claim that she had missed the deadline to retrieve the money. They said that they had reached out to her while she was on vacation. She had proof that she was on vacation. They said they reached out to her direct, and that the deadline passed the time. So, she's allegedly out of this $8,000 that she saved of her own money. So it's crazy because, just so many times they'll see shit in your car. And I mean, I don't even want to get into detail because I have a situation now where they're still holding some of my shit. And it's just like, it's madness. It's like they will rob you and redistribute it, and in some cases spend your money. We've heard many cases of them saying that they seized $2,000. Later on, you find out it was $20,000. Oh, we forgot the zero. You know what I mean? But this is a speaking of what we were talking about earlier, how folks are out here starving. Folks are trying to get $15 an hour. And here's a case where this woman is like, look, I'm trying to turn my food cart business into a food truck. There are no charges against me. The charges against my ex-boyfriend have actually been dropped. And you all don't want to give me my money. And this is America. This is, legit capitalism.
And civil asset forfeiture, I think Liu Kang just said it. It's legal robbery. You're right. Like that, you don't have to have charges pressed against you. Right. You don't have to be, and even if you have charges, you don't have to be convicted, right? So they can seize your money and your property, never get it back again. There's been cases where we've had, like back in New York when I used to practice, like they've gone to the wrong door without have a warrant for another door, or broke into somebody's door, tore up their house, left. There's no quick way to get any of that fixed. Like you have to basically file a separate lawsuit. You got to file to different departments to get something like that. So imagine, not only do they come into your home, but then they find money and take your money. And again, are not required to prove that anything illicit happened in terms of getting those resources, that they were being used in some illicit or criminal manner. They get to keep that. And you're right. What do they do with that money? For the amount that's not put into their pockets, that they don't take home with them, goes into general funds to buy what? More police outfits, more bulletproof vests, more guns, more cars, more shiny new badges, better working shoes. It goes to help the general department shine itself up. So not only are they getting our tax dollars, but they're getting the money that they actually take from us doing their so-called criminal investigations. And again, the important thing is no one's been convicted of anything. They can seize and not get back. And we're not just talking about money, jewelry, property, cars, homes, clothes, all that stuff has been seized without people being charged and or convicted of a single crime. And they've never seen those resources again. So this is so it's legal. It's legal. It's legal stealing. It's legal robbery, right? So that's really what it is.
Right. I mean, it's such a gangster concept, this system itself, because, we know about it. We know people that it's happened to. It's happened to many of us. And it's like the beat goes on. You know what I mean? And they tie you up in so much paperwork. They tie you up in so much litigation and so much just straight bullshit. It's like, they will, by the time, if you do get what was owed to you, you've spent that plus trying to get it back, because you have to pay for the lawyers. You have to pay for, take time off from work or your business or whatever the case is. You have to hire babysitters. You have to go through so much shit. So by the time they finish with you, it's like you've damn near spent up what the hell you went to get. And in many cases, they'll take your shit, and if it's electronics or something like that, when you do get it back, it's not even working. You know what I'm saying? I know people who've had their computers seized, and all of a sudden their files have been wiped out. You know what I mean? And it's insanity, man. So we have to figure out, again, you have to organize. You have to figure out what organization you're going to be a part of. How are you going to beat this system? Because right now it's like we're getting shook down, for lack of better words. It's strong arm robbery, and we're forced to accept it.
Yeah. No, I think you nailed it on the head too. So the other thing is, even in your fight to get it back, how much money she's probably going to have to spend to get back $8,000, right, through legal fees in particular. So it's and you're just put in a situation, and then when it's cash, right? You had 8,000 taken, but only 4,000 shows up as what they got, right?
Oh yeah.
And how are you going to fight that? You're going like, I had 8,000. The cop going to be like, oh, she lying. Who the judge going to believe?
Yeah.
Right. Who the superior officer going to believe?
Right.
Because the superior officer probably gets they cut.
Right.
The judge just believes anything the cops say, but the superior officer probably going to get they cut rolled off the top.
Without a doubt.
8, you know what I'm saying? So it's I mean, it's a game. So this whole idea, there's another story we talked about it earlier around the police in Atlanta and their points program around getting points to issue tickets and so forth.
Yeah, citations and shit. Yeah.
Say it again.
Yeah, citations and shit. Yeah,
citations, not based on not based on the fact that they see something happening, someone speeding, and so therefore we're gonna pull them over and so forth and so on. No, they create the conditions. So if you're going 66 on a 65, or if they follow you and decide, you know what, we got to make this quota. I'm gonna pull this person over for any. It's like, you didn't signal when you turned. Anything that they can do to make that quota is what they're going to try to do, because that gets them the points in their own system to get them promotions, get them better details, to get them little awards. They're worried about what's happening in their world and their lives and how it benefits them. They're not caring about no justice or stopping crime or making sure the city is safe. You know what I'm saying? All they care about what's going to be good for them in their pocketbooks. And then when even when this stuff gets exposed, they try to treat it like it's such a minor incident, or it's something that's happening off to the side and it can be self-corrected. But no, that's what happens every day. And even when this system is exposed, they're just going to create another one and be like, don't be so stupid and put it on a billboard where people are going to take pictures of it. Find another way to do it. There's always unofficial quotas for arrests and citations in almost every major city, every major policing city. There's always the understanding that your job is to do a certain amount of arrests, a certain amount of citations, a certain amount of tickets. That's your job. It doesn't matter if a crime is happening or not. In fact, you get there, crime is usually over. Something's happened. The cops don't get called. Yeah, and what they do, they file a report. That don't mean you're getting your stuff back, because they're not looking for your stuff. They just filing a report.
Exactly. And shit, in some cases, they might end up arresting you. They telling you to calm down. Calm down, sir. Fuck you mean calm down? You know what I'm saying? And it's just on what you're saying. I mean, and like just being in Georgia in particular, when you talk about racial profiling, it's like shit. Let them ride by in you a certain complexion. You ride by and you got a cat like me with freeform locks. They looking, automatically they trying to get in the car. We've been pulled over in different occasions where I'm in the passenger seat. They asking me for my license. Like, motherfucker, I look like I'm driving. You know what I'm saying? You ain't even, you ain't even check the driver. You're like, fuck it. You have your license. Fuck me in one of these European cars, motherfucker. You need steering wheels on this side. Like, fuck is wrong with you? This is how they get down. You know what I mean? They've came to the house like I remember being in South Carolina one time. They go knocking on the door. Some dummy opens the door. They step on in, and they talking about we have a warrant for spook. so they pull out on me, talking about let us see your driver's license. I'm like, motherfucker, I'm not driving. I'm in the house. Are you spooked? Hell yeah, I'm spooked. You got a fucking 9mm pointed at me. I mean, I should be spooked. You know what I'm saying? So you come to find out they looking for a motherfucker that's like 6'4" and dark skin, and I don't fit that description. You know what I mean? But they're telling me to calm down. Calm down. How about you get the fuck out of here? Then I'll be calm. Right now, I'm nervous. You know what I'm saying? You come to me. You come talking about you have a warrant for someone named Spook. I mean, like literally. I mean, like, how does that work?
That's what, and like the majority when I was practicing in New York, and what you just described is the way all these incidents begin to escalate, right? Because people get stopped because they're walking down the street. Yes. Simply put, they're just walking down the street, and you get stopped. Who is not going to be upset by the, we're investigating a crime? It's like, and I'm walking down the street. I'm not committing no crime. You fit the description. You made a movement. You know what I'm saying? I mean, someone, we think you might be up to something. And the moment you go like, fuck is wrong with you? Like, I'm walking, like, can I go? The moment you say something, then they get they back up. Oh, yeah, you talking trash. I got to show you who's boss now. And that's what I got. The gun, I got the badge, I got the nightstick, I got the mace, I got me and my 4 friends who used to be football players. Oh, we not you talking bad? Oh yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that's when they thought they slammed. I've had several cases, cats, bloody lips, twisted arms, broken arms, just because they had the nerve to be like, yo, why? What are you stopping me for? Like, dude, soon as you, man, a couple different times. Soon as I open my mouth, they trying to get on it. So my position is, shit, I'm trying to defend myself. Excuse me, not defend myself. I'm trying to protect myself. You know what I mean? So if an elbow happened to fly and meet your eyeball, shit, I'm sorry, officer. You know what I'm saying? If you go to tackle me and I move and you hit your damn nose, then I'm sorry, officer. But the thing is, it's like walking through Harlem. I remember going through 125th, these white boys jumping out of cars. They're not even in uniforms. They have their little badges hanging around the joint. But I'm like, damn, the first time I saw that, I'm like, man, we're in the middle of Harlem, one of the blackest cities in America. And you look up and you see white boys jumping out of unmarked cars, throwing brothers up against the wall. You know what I'm saying? Slamming sisters, whatever. And this is the norm. Yeah. And and that's beyond quote unquote racial profiling. That's it's what it is. It's terrorism. And now it's being heightened again under your new Black Mayor, Eric Adams, who has decided to bring back these sort of street crime type units, the ones that were responsible for killing Amadou Diallo. All these folks are coming back. Abner Louima. These folks, these groups are coming back, claiming again, or what they always like to claim, is that they're looking for guns. They're on the search for guns. They're on the search for this. And then every statistical analysis shows that of all the people that get pulled over, less than 1% have any weapons on them. So you pulled over 99% of the people you pulled over are not committing any criminal act whatsoever. So you've just harassed, terrorized them, written them a ticket, potentially falsely arrested them for doing nothing. And then the other percentage in New York, it showed that a higher percentage of white people, even though a lower percentage of them were stopped, but a higher percentage of them would have guns on them or some kind of weapons on them. Of course. So it doesn't mean they refocus their efforts back in the white community. No. You know what I'm saying? No, of course not. So, we got to go look for Eleanor Bumpers or Michael Griffith or somebody like that. And it's crazy because,
a lot of the names that folks are naming now, you know, they think it's a new thing. You know what I'm saying? And we go back to, you know, to these eras. I'm still in touch with family members of like Eleanor Bumpers, going back to like, what's that, 86, 87.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is you know, this is the order of the day. This is what capitalism does. It is.
What was the young brother that got killed at his, like, the night before his wedding?
Sean Bell, the morning.
Sean Bell. Yeah. People pre-social media, all these cases that existed. People either don't know much about, or like you said, they just think this police brutality thing happened, started in St. Louis or something like that, or certain things. So it's like,
and he was murdered 4 days after Katherine Johnson was murdered here in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. But the thing was, Katherine Johnson's case didn't even make national coverage. She was 92. And then 4 days later, like I said, I think November 25th, she was murdered on November 21st. He was murdered on November 25th. And, you know, the morning of his wedding, you know what I'm saying? Him and his boy, I forgot his partner's name. I think it was Guzman. But, you know, they both shot. You know, he's murdered 50 shots fired into a van, leaving his bachelor party. No weapons found, no drugs found. Just, you know, we have the you know, it's just too many of y'all black folks in one damn vehicle. You know,
and when people talk about even the history of rebellions in our community in the 60s and stuff, most of that stuff started or got ignited because of some police interaction with folks in the community.
That's right.
Those things usually when they happened on the spot, they were because the police busted into somebody's apartment or house or into a club. And folks were just, at that moment, it was like, you know what, this ain't happening today. Right. And one thing led to another, which spread to another, which spread to people out in the street in mass taking action or fighting back because of one interaction with the cops. And then we also have the cases where, because of the police brutality, and then when major cases blow up, and then people's reaction, like in the Rodney King, they didn't blow up when Rodney King, you know, which is the shame, right? It didn't blow up when we all saw the videotape. That's right. It blew up after we decided to wait for justice to happen. And then justice didn't happen, of course, because it never really happens. And they were acquitted on all counts. And then it blew up, right? Now, that's the kind of smacking I support. I support that kind of smacking all the time.
Yeah, definitely. That smacking is necessary. But yeah, I mean, I think the thing with Rodney King was, you know, many of us, you know, we already saw, you know, we was getting slammed up against the wall. Like I said, in Bridgeport, you know, I come off the elevator, pig slamming your head up against the wall, slamming your head up against the damn thing. I'm 14 years old, you know, running you don't even want to tell your parents, you know what I'm saying? Slamming you on the damn concrete, whatever, you know. And, you know, so the thing is, once we saw Rodney King on camera being beaten, it meant something different. What they say, it hit different. You know what I'm saying? You know, you got to see that these motherfuckers was putting their energy into it. They was putting their soul into it. And they beat them to a pulp. And folks couldn't believe that. And then, like you said, the rebellion came. And the rebellion, it wasn't just in LA. It was folks all over the country that was throwing down because of the fact that they felt that pain. Now, the sad thing about it is, per usual, they give Rodney King a couple trinkets, and he gets his ass on screen talking about, can't we all just get along? And then you have some ignorant Negroes that'll be like, well, Rodney King said, or the parents of the victim said, like the Ruber say, this ain't a victim-led movement, motherfucker. This is, didn't beat your ass because your last name was King. They beat your ass because you was black in America. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the reality of it. Now, they try to justify it and say that you was drinking and driving and all that shit. I don't know what the facts are in regards to that, but I
even
did
if
see
he
that
was, it
yeah,
is not.
I mean,
the response is it's
brutal assault.
The person needs to be arrested. You know, in a just system, I don't mind if someone is taken off the street if they're going 150 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah.
What I do mind is if you decide that you're going to whip their ass to a pulp.
That's right.
Just because you can,
right?
Because you're gonna get away with it. And you're right, like that. Because obviously it was the first time it was really captured as it was happening on videotape. So I think that was part of the sort of the visceral reaction. And I remember, you know, I still remember, I was a young man when the jury came back and it acquitted.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And you saw white folks scatter like never before. We were in New York City. All the jobs closed down early.
Quick.
Me and my people, we got off. We called each other, got off of work. We were about to head uptown for a major rally. December 12th was leading that rally at that particular point. We was going uptown to get down with it. It was like nothing you've seen. White folks running to get to the suburbs on every train. Action, excuse me, scared to touch you, looking down. So they're like, the whole relationship between power and white folks is like they like to come off. Like,
but you know why though?
Why? What?
Because they witnessed Reginald Denny getting snatched out that 18-wheeler and getting that cinder block dropped on his ass.
Remember, he was driving through LA as the jury in New York. It was as soon as the verdict came down.
Right.
White folks knew that there was like it was an understanding that there was potentially some retribution, that something was in the air that was different from every other time because it was captured and spoiled and shown for everybody to see. So it was like there was that. It was that. What I was going to say real quickly is that whole persona that, let's just say, that white folks in America get off of being all these non-threatening for the most part, right? Like it's the yoga and all that kind of bullshit or whatever. It's like, why? Because they have a military arm to take care of their shit.
That's right.
Whether it's local or whether it's international, they can afford to present to you some image of docility because they already know that they got the weapons behind them. So they're
in their home. It's just like when you're in your house. You're gonna walk around. You can walk around your boxer shorts. You can walk around however you want to walk because you're comfortable. White folks are comfortable in America because of the fact that, like you said, they're backed by force and arms. They're backed with the most violent security force on the planet, and they spend so much money on it because they have these running dogs that will protect them. The police are simply the security guards that we walk around when we're in the Walmarts and the CVSs and all that. Those cats is walking around following you. The police are the security guards of the nation for white folks, and they feel good about it because they know that if you get out of hand, then look, I'm white, and they'll kill your black ass if you you will be Emmett Till. Don't trip. But anyway, we the ear doctor's in the back. He looked like he got a couple basketball, footballs, badminton going on.
Yeah, I was gonna do a little sports, but what was wild about it? My son will be 17 in 2 weeks. So it's like with him, we have to have a conversation since he has locks. Like, now that you chose to have this crown on your head, you're gonna realize what comes with it. Because back when I had my locks, staying down in Jonesboro, which is right outside of Atlanta, cops would pull me over for no reason, strip search me, go down my drawers, everything, and then be like, all right, we ain't find nothing. Go ahead. So it's a whole conversation you got to have with a lot of these youth that's just having locks because of the trend. It's you taking on a crown, and a lot of them don't understand that. And now us as parents, we got to have these conversations with them. It's wild.
The locks is your skin, period. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And really, that convo, you got to have that with your daughter as well. You got to have that convo early in the day. You know what I'm saying? I remember I was watching the news one day with my daughter. She was 7 at the time, and I think it might have been around the whole George Floyd situation. And she just got so pissed off because she's watching this TV and she saw what this pig was doing to Floyd, and she just blurted out, "Fuck the police." So my son was like, "Ooh, you can't say that." So I'm standing there, and she said, he deserved it, right, Dad? I mean, me being the man that I am.
You got damn right.
Yeah, I'm like, that's my daughter. But I, I had to, I tell her, look, let's not make this a habit. Now, this I understand feeling the emotion.
One on this. You get a free one on this.
Where my daughter's 12, she calls them colonizers. She just calls.
They call them pigs.
She calls all white people colonizers.
And Karens, they be like, "Why is this Karen following us?" They'll have a whole combo in the airport Within earshot, they don't care.
Well, yo, let me flip it real quick. We're gonna do a quick break, talk about some sports real quick. I know we don't talk about that much, but let's get into it. All right.
Yes, sir. Remix.
All right. Speaking of getting their ass beat, since we're gonna talk about sports, let's talk about a wet dream going bad. Let's talk about these Lakers. Oh my goodness. One of the worst combinations in history got knocked out of the playoffs. So you know the whole conversation about LeBron being the greatest. Yeah, if you get knocked out of the playoffs, in basketball, you're not the greatest, but you know, outside doing the work for the community, yeah, you soar over other basketball players. But they're getting rid of their sorry coach Frank Vogel. Only Bogle I acknowledges the dance they do in dance hall. But yeah, this team right here, man, you can't just put a bunch of people together with no chemistry and figure you gonna win. So with that, my pick for the whole NBA championship is gonna be the Warriors versus the Nets. And I'm taking the Warriors just because they got a chemistry of being together and working together for so long. And that Stephen Curry is a beast. Now, let me go to this real quick. Let's talk about this brother right here. Put a little music on for him. That's right. This is Dwayne Haskins. This brother, he was a football player for the Washington whatever football team and also the Steelers. He was a quarterback. He played 3 seasons in the NFL. He also played for Ohio State, where he set the Big Ten Conference records for single-season passing yards and touchdowns, and was redshirted as a sophomore in 2018. Now, the story is this brother was down in Florida, and pretty much he just had his transition. What happened is he was down in Florida. He attempted to cross the interstate 595 westbound on foot, and was struck by a dump truck and was pronounced dead at the scene around 6:37 a.m. on Saturday. There's no sidewalks nearby, no obvious reason to cross the highway, and they were speeding at like 65 and up. So the brother got hit. I hope he wasn't out there smoking no woolies or nothing. Wooly is a lace blunt, and I hope that nothing got in his system to make him go run across the highway for no reason. But what I want to say is we sending blessings and prayers out to his mother, Tamara Haskins, and Dwayne Haskins Sr. Dude is from Highland Park, New Jersey. Man, that's what it is. Bless up to that brother and his family, and that's your sports for the day. Now let's get back to it.
I'm just saying, you know, you can't put Carmelo on a team and expect to win. Just saying.
I mean, that was the worst combination. I mean, when I seen it, I was like, man, they got the hitters. But you know how that usually is? Because I don't play basketball on court, and a bunch of white boys come that have been balling for a while, and they will run y'all off the court. Like, they just using fundamentals, and they killing them. And that's what happens.
What was that? What's the brother's name that was killed on the highway?
Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah. You know, we were just talking about the movie Concussion about Dr. Bennett Omalu, who actually, crazy enough, Will Smith actually played, and just about how so many players have gotten concussions and how the NFL has been complicit and also, you know, pretty much making every particular effort they can to cover that shit up. They did a whole movie on that shit. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, you had Will Planet, and that makes me wonder, man. I mean, I know the NFL. You know, folks talk about the whole Kaepernick situation. If they didn't give a damn about their players surviving and his brain damage, so on and so forth, Kaepernick didn't stand a chance. You know what I'm saying? Kneeling didn't mean anything. But it's like that shit got swept under the rug. The movie came out. They paid so much for propaganda to counter it. You know what I'm saying? And the silence, the doctor, so on and so forth. That that folks aren't even, it's like a thing of the past, like it didn't exist. So in saying that, it makes me wonder with this young man that was just hit by this. You said he was hit by a dump truck.
Yeah.
God damn. I mean, that's it's real questionable. I remember some of the other cases where brothers were saying that they had voices in their head telling them to kill their family, and folks committed suicide, so on and so forth. So it's just a pretty strange situation to see this man crossing the highway for no apparent reason.
Yeah, and you're right. It is other things to look at other than possible drug use, but with fentanyl being put in all these types of different weeds and stuff, man, I don't see any other, especially only 3 years in the NFL. I mean, a young boy is like 25.
I mean, yeah,
the average year though, your average span in the NFL is no more than 5 years, and for certain positions, 3 years is because you are basically taking your body and continually running it into other people's body, right? And like you said, like head concussions with the helmet, and one of the things that NFL has done is that for the most part, except for a few players, it chooses not to make the spotlight players as individual personalities. It frowns on that. So unlike the NBA and baseball and other major sports leagues, which builds up their players to be national phenomena, and that's their way of trying to attract the audience and getting people in, the NFL tries to do that through the teams, right? So so they try to make sure, because they have so many more players on the teams and other sports, that it's the teams that get built up, and the players are ever more replaceable at any moment in time. Henceforth, they really don't give a damn, like y'all said, if someone gets a concussion, because you can get them off. We're going to get somebody else new, particularly in the positions that they consider to be either unskilled or limited skilled, because it's really about you pounding your body into somebody so somebody else can run through it who has a lot of speed or ability to move and all that kind of stuff. So the NFL purposely does what it does, and then it blamed, and the Players Association has some guilt also, because it focuses so much in on the current players as opposed to either retired players or players who've gone out through injury. And so what it does is, as opposed to making sure that everybody gets some sort of protection, it's overly focused, at least it has in the past, on whatever the current roster is, as opposed to looking at the retirees and the injured and what can be done for them also.
Yeah, and the thing is too, we're saying only 3 years, we're forgetting that, or we're not looking at the fact that these players start off in as early as high school or even earlier.
Yeah,
earlier.
We're talking about college. We're talking about the whole nine. So we're talking about years of this just to to get a check and to earn, they keep in this particular game. But we have to realize, like you said, it's like this is all about, again, it reinforces capitalism. It's about the bucks and the brutes. Like, let's see how they perform for us. You understand what I'm saying? And many of these folks are ended up with CTE, the brain injuries, and so on and so forth, concussions, and they go and treat it because you are collateral damage. These NFL players, to a great extent, are like temp workers. They will replace you. There's plenty of folks out there that they're looking to bring along and and change the game with.
Yeah, I actually was playing football back in early times when I was like maybe like 10 or 12, and I had it was a helmet that had a screw loose right in the front, and I was playing running back, and I hit somebody, and the screw went right in my head, blood flowing down my face. I mean, I never played football like that again, because I was just like, man, even though I played all the way to the last year of high school, it's a dangerous sport. It is mad dangerous.
And we used to play tackle in the hood, man. It's like we was, I mean,
Killer, man.
Yeah,
we was trying to take some heads off. You know what I'm saying? You get broke up, helmet, uniform.
You get knocked into a car.
Yes, I was just about to say that.
For real, hey, on the real, or I got knocked under the fence. I got hit so hard one time. I was literally stuck under the fence. But, you know, and I played high school football as well. And the thing is, it's like, you know, you're not, I mean, by the time we got to high school, the uniforms and shit, you know, it's like, damn, they, you know, helmets. Oh, wow. You could do a little bit more than you could do without them. Because like I said, we was concussions and shit. We run into the wall, all types of shit, you know. And,
and I know people love the sport. People love the sport. So I don't, you know, I don't know if there's a way to really talk about abolishing the sport, whether you play it or watch it or whatever. But there's certainly ways to make it safer. There's certainly ways to make sure people are protected in a better way. Because, you know, I don't think the sport is going away anytime soon, but there's certainly things that can happen to make people's playing lives better, and to make sure, again, I agree, like, you know, people put their whole lives into this thing and they get put on for 2 or 3 years, but they can, you know, what's considered the big time, and they're gone. There's certainly ways to make sure that those folks are at least compensated to a level of having time to repair their body and not having to go out right away and look for like some used car person or something else to get some money in.
Without a doubt.
But what else is there for like gladiators and warriors to do when there's no war? I mean, that football is their war. I mean, some people gotta have a physical outlet. So some people just what they want to do. I mean, I can't really knock people for what they want to do in their life, even if it's hurting themselves.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of things you could do, you know what I'm saying, to release that energy. But, you know, that's you know, that's the and we like, I mean, this, you know, I mean, I like football. Football is cool as far as just, you know, like you said, playing the sport. If I could play now, I would. I think the last time I played was probably like 7 years ago. And I realized I was playing at the masjid. Shout out to Imam Jamil's community. And folks are trying to flatten me because, you know, whenever they got the opportunity to hit me legally, then it's a good thing. But I was still kind of fast. But, you know, nowadays it's like I'm not taking my ass on the football field no time soon. But, you know, I miss the sport. And I used to box as well. I loved boxing, you know, but again, you know, your body, the older you get, it's like your mind's like, yeah, we could do that shit. Then you have to box one of these 23-year-olds that's been, you know what I'm saying, Golden Glove championship like that. It's a little different.
No, it's just it's a brutal activity. I mean, there's no other way to get around. And like you said, like this stuff goes back to sort of a history of outside of war, what other ways in which people can see physical violence happen in some controlled setting. And it's part of a society or a larger culture or whatever like that. So, but there's, again, you know, if it's going to be around, there's got to be ways in which, as opposed to these high-priced billionaires making all that money, there's got to be ways in which safety and compensation is done in a way that makes sure that when folks are done doing this sport, or there is time for them to stop, that they are well compensated for something that apparently that, you know, folks love to do. So,
yeah, I mean, it's what
from the Roman Colosseums to the arenas, still going on.
Well, I mean, really, to be honest, it's funny you say that, because the Roman Colosseums and all of that shit exists now, but they have suit and ties on. You know what I'm saying? And instead of, you know, going direct, they're, you know, dropping bombs and shooting motherfuckers. You know, so it's the same gladiators, they just change uniforms.
Yeah,
you know, so that's a whole nother story though.
And in real warfare, they're making it, real warfare now is turning into a video game for a lot of folks. So even, you know, the violence was already kind of removed for people if you're dropping bombs from an airplane, let's say. But these days, like with drone warfare, just switching up a little bit in terms of topic area, we're still talking about violence. Drone warfare is done. People look like they're on a video game, dropping drones and literally killing, you know, 10 people, 15 people, 20 people, 40 people, and go home and sleep at night, because to them, they've already rationalized it so much in their mind, but they don't see the death, right? They don't see the blood. They don't see the people who are dead. Right. But the violence all the way around gets to be at such a level of acceptance and rationalization that we don't understand that we are literally killing other people because it looks like it's something to you know, that we spend our pastimes doing and laughing it up about. So
mark my words, these billionaires are going to have the opportunity to play these games. I'm quite sure I can see it happening, just like they have the opportunity to hop on space shuttles and shit like that and go out of outer space and into different areas. I think that there'll come a time when they'll be sitting around in the Oval Office or somewhere nearby playing this shit like it's video games. Look, you can get to blow up this for X amount of dollars. But speaking of that, speaking of barbaric nature, at the end of the month, I believe April 29th in South Carolina, they're scheduled to this man, of course, they brought the firing squad back. So they're scheduled to execute this man, and he has to make a decision relatively soon, I believe over the next couple days or so, as to whether he want to be executed by electrocution, by electric chair, or by firing squad. And they said that basically they have 3 volunteer workers from the prison who will volunteer to shoot these people. You know what I'm saying? Who go in front of firing squad. That shit right there. When I first saw that article, I thought it was some old Sun Times shit or some whatever. But this right now, next they'll be bringing back the guillotine. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, a firing squad in modern society. First of all, they had abolished the death penalty at first, but they abolished the gas chamber and then the electric chair because they were saying it was too barbaric, and they were going to use the drugs. Now all of a sudden they don't have all of the drugs to use to shoot inside of the person. So now you have a choice of being electrocuted or firing squad. I think that the world, or at least the United States, should be in an uproar. Republicans, Democrats, whoever, when you're talking about you can actually volunteer to execute a quote unquote American citizen on American soil. That's why I just said about, these billionaires having the opportunity to go to blow some shit up in other countries because of the fact that you can send these drones and launch these different missiles. You don't have to be in the area. And I can imagine them blowing some shit up and then looking on the news like, look what they did in Syria. Oh, that was me. You understand what I'm saying? Because there's no separation between business and government. We're looking at it as if it's some type of separation. All of the folks in office, these are businessmen and women. The folks who are at the higher ups. So.
And I would say this, even with the middle class depleting like it is, in a minute, if you ain't watching Warrior Class to learn, it's going to be Hunger Games. It really is going to be Hunger Games. You're going to have to know how to survive out here because they're going to be like, all right, we did this sport. We did the billionaires. We did all these different sports. Now, we've been showing y'all that we're going to do Hunger Games. We're going to do the surviving thing with Ice-T. We're going to just have money to have y'all running and trying to survive. And that's going to be the big hot thing on TV in the multiverse. Y'all wait.
Didn't they already have and this is not the exact same thing. They had the teachers, and then they had them like sort of like in this bubble of money, and they had to grab the money and put it in their clothes, and whoever grabbed the most money, of course, got to keep it so that they can then spend it on school supplies for their kids. This was generally thought of as a good way to get school supplies. And I'm not blaming the teachers, of course, but whoever put together the event somehow thought that getting people to fight over or run around each other and jump on each other to stuff cash down their throat was a funding mechanism for education, right? We had the show that I think they had to change it because there was so much backlash, where they had the so-called activists and organizers competing against each other with the celebrity judges deciding who did the best activist work in order to get money for your particular cause. Like that's the kind of thing that this is the kind of thing that people already think is acceptable fare for somehow changing society or rearranging society or getting resources to groups or people who need resources. It's not to challenge the system. It's for the system to co-opt the activity and then make it some sport, some blood sport a lot of times for folks to participate in. you know, and so it's like that. That's the world that we're basically in. There's been a couple of movies. I remember this one movie with Richard Dawson and Arnold Schwarzenegger, which was pre-Trump, right? It was like this pre-Trump movie that just spoke about having an overt clown basically be the leader of a government. Overt because they were like stupid, they'll say anything, they'll do anything. A perfect sort of example what Trump sort of represented, and that the whole society was built around having people engage in sort of these sort of death sports or activities, which would excite all the folks and get them away from doing anything around their condition again, but all about watching the spectator sport of people killing each other for small bits of coin.
And this is what folks will be doing and are doing when they're making less than $15 an hour and trying to survive out here. It is a blood sport, and it is a blood sport in the street. And that's why, you know, when you talk about crime and violence and all that type shit, you have people out here literally trying to survive. And unfortunately, they're aiming at the wrong people. Unfortunately, you know, you're at war with the wrong people. So as they say, take that energy and point it in the right direction. You know what I'm saying? You can't just run around taking shit from people who have what you have or less. If you're going to be a monkey, be a gorilla. Go ahead and get what's due, because you know you have the Elon Musk, you have the Trumps, and so many others who are out here that's literally getting it. They're eating well, and we're starving, and that is why I have such a disdain and attitude towards that whole BLM shit. When you're talking about they're raking in millions of dollars and a $6 million home and all of that, and people are fighting for basic survival. And I know a lot of people, because you know we've been saying certain things, and you know some feathers may be ruffled. Look, man, we don't have time for the bullshit, man. You know what I'm saying? This ain't personal. It ain't personal about your guys that get online that's fronting like they're in some fucking militias and they know they're not gonna bust a Concord grate in a fruit fight. We're not. It's not a an attack on people when we're talking about, you know, people are out here starving in the streets. We see that. And many of you that are watching us right now, many of you are suffering. And we appreciate your efforts and your energies and trying to you know, move along with us day by day. We're not perfect. We're not going to always make it and get it right, but we're going to report it as we know it. We're going to try to share our political education and our politics, and we are going to work towards getting proper information out here, because of the fact that it's a war, as they say, in the hearts and the minds of the people. And shout out to all you out there, Comrade, Kwame, Melanin Rich, Leah Boggs, Big Till, Ricky Ryan, David Silberg, B More, Kuma, and all of you out there that's you know, that's out here you know, coming through with us on the daily.
Word.
So it sounds like on that note, we're about to wrap it up.
Another Remix Morning Show in the books.
Yes.
This Tuesday, we be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. with another crew ready to give it to you. That's what we do right here on the Remix Morning Show.
No doubt. Stay on point. Remix.
Peace.